Right. Hi everyone. Welcome to JEDi episode 12. My name is Jimmy, and with me today are Ethan and David. For those of you who tune in to our Facebook Live for the first time, and if you want to know more about us and the name JEDi, do check out our first episode in the video section. I will be the moderator for this episode. So here's how we're going to run through. Firstly, Ethan and David will be having a fireside chat on investments 101, all right? And then they'll share the bonus section on tax savings for parents. Then last but not least, we'll have a Q&A section. So feel free to post your questions in the comment section and we will address them during the Q&A session. Yeah. So without further ado, I'll let Ethan start the ball rolling. Ethan?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Ethan, founder of PolicyWoke. So these are the things that we're going to talk today. There was no questions for the last episode, but I definitely hope that there will be more. Okay, so let's talk about what is investing. So yeah, you can see the graph over there, right? One straight line, one zigzag line. Yeah, that's how it explains what is investing about. Okay. But the core concept of investing is more about maybe putting resources and commit all these resources for a future benefit. And a lot of investment may be straightforward or maybe like the zigzag line. So it may not be straightforward. It can be a fund of funds or whatever. A lot of things jumble up together. So what we want to do is try to make it as straightforward as possible for now. So what is investment? We really put time and effort or even money into it in general. So there is this concept of delayed gratification instead of using your resources for your passion. So it can also be that you invest into your passion, but in finance, we normally look for returns instead because that is important. How else why should we invest, right? But the fundamentals about this is that we also need to look into something that is called risk. So investment, we look for returns, but we also need to take care of the risk. So always remember in investment, there is number one, resources that you put into it. Number two, delayed gratification. Number three, returns. And number four, what's the risk? So let's look into investment as either a product or concept. So we can look into the concept of investment by tying back to why do we do investment. So there are a few trains of thoughts for investment, like goal-based investment, like retirement investment. So all these are a lot more based on the goals, the things that you want to achieve. But there's also a type where they actually put it into a practice, where they do maybe undervalued investment or growth investment, where they think that the investment is undervalued, which means the value doesn't match the price, or the price is high, but because it's a growth investment, that means that the growth can be exponential. So that is where they want the price may not reflect the value. So there is a time and volatility of investment to be included in this type of concept of investment. And we also have to understand that investments are not products. Investment is more of a concept, but the products used in investment are tools to meet the goals. So there are actually a lot of products which have any different kinds of features. So insurance is just one type where they protect your investments. But for investment is more to really grow the money. So you need to understand why there is a very distinct approach whereby there is concept and there's a product. So the product should meet together with the concept, not you try to force the concept into a product. So that's the important thing that we understand. Okay, so there are 5 different common investments. So I'll let David highlight all of this because I think he's really into investment for so long already. He knows a lot about this than me. Yeah, David?
Sure. So the most common investment that any Singaporean have would be property. So usually after you work for a few years, you would buy your first property, whether you buy it to stay or to rent out, is something that everybody has to consider. So property is, I would say, is the biggest ticket item that most people would invest uh, in their entire lives, unless you have a startup, you have a company, then that's another huge investment. But usually, property is the main investment vehicle for most people. Next would be stocks. So stocks are essentially a part of a company which you can buy. So people buy stocks for various reasons. They expect the company to perform well, so they buy the stocks because they believe in the growth story. They want to have a piece of it. Some stocks are more like dividend stocks. They just give cash flow, like utilities or banks. They just give cash flow. So some people prefer that. And also some people would go for a mix. So you have both growth stocks and dividend stocks. Then nowadays you have bonds that you can also buy. So it can be the normal bonds, which is 250K, or it can be smaller quantum. So now it's a bit more accessible. So some people also buy bonds. It's more of a, I'll say, de-risking or hedging option, so that you don't get so much exposure to the volatility in the markets. Of course, if you are more conservative, then you might be higher bonds compared to stocks. Like for example, recently we got the ILP and I'm managing it. We initially had 60% bonds, 40% stocks, and then we tweaked it to 70-30. Now it's at 80-20. So we're de-risking as the market goes up. Yeah. And next will be REITs. So REITs will be real estate investment trusts. Some people would buy REITs because they don't have exposure to property. But if you have a lot of exposure to property, then maybe you don't want to buy REITs. Or if you want to increase your exposure to property, but you don't want to buy another property, you could just buy REITs because there's no ABSD on REITs. Of course, when you buy REITs, you can buy other countries' REITs, like Indonesian REITs or Japanese REITs. So you don't have to be restricted to Singapore context. Then you have the unit trusts and ETFs. These are baskets of stocks or bonds or REITs where fund managers would blend together a portfolio and you buy into it, and they charge you a fee for management of these baskets. So unit trusts would be good for people who are interested to invest but don't want to manage it too much. So you can just look at the various options out there, see what's in line with your vision and what's suitable to your risk appetite. Personally, I used to buy REITs. Oh, sorry. I used to buy unit trusts when I first started working, when I started investing. But nowadays, I buy it purely for qualifying for this DBS multiplier. So I don't really invest in unit trusts nowadays. Yeah.
So what makes you want the change?
Well, technically, I'm very heavy in property now. I'm phasing funds into the stock market. I'm not vested in bonds, not vested in REITs, not vested in very very little interest in unit trusts, because I think it makes more sense to manage it on my own. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think we had a bit of a debate on what's the role of REITs and stocks and bonds. So I think it's good that we can start to talk about it. Yeah. So my opinion for REITs is they function like stocks in terms of their volatility and price, but their dividends are like bonds. So that is my idea of REITs. So what's your
The good thing about REITs is that the some yeah it's kind of like stocks, because for example, if there's a private buyout, they buy out your REITs. You cannot hold it anymore. You are bought out. It's almost like en bloc. They buy out at a higher price. You have no choice. You just sell because it's you have to sell. It's like bonds, but the payout it varies. It's not a fixed coupon. So the dividends varies, almost like stocks. So the dividends for REITs varies. To me, it's not really like a bond. Yeah, because one thing is you can get bought out. Another thing is the value can go up suddenly because of a buyout news. So it's not even a buyout, it's just a buyout news. So prices go up just like that. Yeah.
okay, but I still think REITs functions like bonds because of the dividend. But okay, why I say that is because REITs are high performing bonds that they are paying out a lot more because of the business growth. But it is also affected like a stock because the dividend, if there's no growth, right, it can even drop to zero.
Quite rare lah, quite rare.
Yeah, it's like the structure.
The thing about REITs is that they can easily raise funds by doing a rights exercise. So they just raise funds from the existing shareholders or from new shareholders. They technically, I think they will not die just like that. Yeah.
But what about stocks? They can also do that. What they can do a stock split.
Yeah. So it's also similar, but not so common. Yeah, for REITs it's very common because when they want to buy a new building or when they need more cash flow, normally they would do the rights exercise, and I see it happen quite a few times for REITs. For stocks, I don't see it that often.
Okay, very very fair view. Very very fair view. Yep. So yeah, that's our mini debate actually. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. Now we are going to talk about investment mindset. So if let's say you're a beginner, right? You really need to focus on this first rather than focusing on what type of investment the products are. You should be focused on the concept rather than products first. So these are the things that is important. Investment need time. What do I mean by time? 1 second is also time. So you can't say that investment does not need time. But whether it's short time or long time, investment much preferred long time. Because you can't see growth in a lot of things, right? I mean, you work so hard, right? You can't be expecting like today I work 8 hours, tomorrow my revenue will be 100 times more. I don't know lah. I don't think that's possible unless you scale, unless you're doing a business. But most investments are not like business. So yeah, it really needs a longer time. Investment can also be hit by economic conditions because of if you're buying into maybe a business, most likely a business or most likely a property. So it's all affected by economic conditions. And the time frame is extremely important when you're doing investments. So for example, if you only have 1 year, do you really want to go into something that has a risk of default or has a high risk of price change, like stocks? Stocks have a very high risk of price change, even like 1 day. Crypto is like by the minutes. So yeah, so you really need to understand the time frame is very important. You don't want to be hit by a situation whereby you need to liquidate it, but the price is the lowest. Then you're buying high and selling low, you're not making money. So please understand the time frame. And also the risk and What do I mean by risk? It's actually the willingness and the ability to take it. So time frame is tied a lot into ability, but willingness is more about how willing you are able to accept the risk. So if you tell me that you cannot accept a loss at all, so you're telling me you are looking for capital guaranteed. But if I change the question to when it's at a loss, you do not have to sell it. But based on market conditions, the likelihood of it increasing further will be higher. So that could be another set of rules already. So the willingness also depends on how hard hit you are by looking at paper losses. So if you are given 100,000, maybe 2 months later it drops to 50,000. Are you able to take it or not? Can your heart take it or not? I don't want my clients to tell me and say that my hard-earned money dropped 50% already. I cannot take it. So you can see that willingness is also tied to your age a lot, and it's also about your values and mindset. So
50% drawdown doesn't happen that often.
The COVID-19 only showed it's possible 30% already. That is if you are well diversified enough. Right? But if you are into a F&B, a business where you buy a share of the business, right, and suddenly no revenue, plenty of expenses to pay off, I think you will die also. Your heart attack already, I think. And later your partner tell you, hey, you need to inject money like SIA. Hey, SIA is not doing well. I need more money. I need to raise money. Can you take it? It's like you lose money, still need to put money in.
Yeah, recently SIA was trying to raise money.
Yes.
You managed to raise another round.
So
Temasek,
no, but also then your stocks you get diluted, right? Which means your stocks is now half price also. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you think of it in that way, then yeah, something is very risky over here. So you really need to understand. Okay. So
it dropped to $3, I think.
Yes. The fair value it was is 450 at that time. At least from calculations. Okay, so for this investment mindset, I'm trying to bring about an engineering concept. For engineers out there, when you see these three, right, you immediately think of it already. Why is engineering concept? Fit in engineering is about how well it can fit into the product, how it fits into the market. But in investment, it's more about how well the product can fit into your personality and how it can fit into the feasibility. Okay, number two is form. In investment is all about the way it is structured. Does it give you the liquidity or does it give you enough time or not? And number three is function. Does it give you the returns that you want? Does it function well or not? So if this stock doesn't give you the returns you want, then something is wrong. So why are you buying the stock? Or is it because temporarily it doesn't give you the returns you want? So you need to understand the exact, is it temporary or is it permanently? Yeah, so I hope these three things can stick to you, fit, form, and function. Something in the engineering concept. I hope to introduce a doctor's kind of way to see things, or maybe a landscaper or whatever, so that at least we can relate to more people over the next few episodes. So I hope this helps you to give some relatability in this case. Okay, so now we are on the bonus section. David is also a parent, right? Yeah, so these are actually the tax savings for parents. We just put up all the more common one. So on the left side is mostly for the female. On the right side is mostly for the male. So why do I put it this way? There's an unfair tax savings advantage for females currently because of the working mother's child relief. I've heard of people, right, using the working mother's child relief to relieve 80,000 tax relief. The full personal tax relief for parents. Without using SRS, without CPF contribution, without all that. So you think it's powerful? Or not? But the caveat is you must have a lot of children. so
Because it's based on percentage.
yes. Then there's also the grandparent.
It depends on what you mean by a lot.
I think it's a lot. If your income is 160,000, 40% of it is how much really? Just a 15%. It's like a SRS already. 15% of 100,000 income taxable is an SRS amount already. You don't need to contribute SRS. You get that tax relief already.
It's a good tax relief hack.
Yeah. So in fact, working mothers, they should go into businesses so they can pay the amount of salary that they want for themselves.
The thing is tax. So it's like 15% for one, 20% for two. So 20% plus 15%.
It's 35, right?
So if you have 2 children, right, it's 35%. If you have 3 children, then it's 60%.
So say 60%
If you
of
have 4 children, it's 85%.
But there's a cap, 80K tax relief.
Yeah, 80K lah. So, well, let's say
So
if your income is 100K, 80% is already 80K lor. Then the
Then
other
you max it out
20K
already.
taxable, it means you pay 0 lah.
So mothers can do that kind of hack. I think guys cannot.
You only get the parenthood tax rebate lor.
No, the qualifying child relief. You transfer everything to the guy.
Yeah, might as well. Because no point giving to the mother already.
Yeah. So I think it's an unfair advantage in this case. Yeah, but that's how powerful working mother's child relief is.
Well,
Then there's a bit of a grandparent caregiver relief where you get the grandparents.
Policy drives actions.
But we don't see the action. But really, there's a lot of mompreneurs around. I heard really. At least at the Instagram, Q10, Amazon, and dropshipping, I heard a lot of people doing that for mothers, selling things online. Yeah, so I think they are really 号召 the country's policies really drive that really. Then because they are working, they can even get the grandparents to take care of the children, then get more relief. And they have to pay their parents' allowance, right? So they just top up a bit more. I don't know. But it's also social capital if we look at it in this way. It's something that people with big families have. They have a lot of social capital. They can get a lot of help without using money, really. And
I wonder if they can hire the grandparent.
So quite perfect, right? If I look at it in that way. Then there's also the enhancement of wife relief. That is a miserable $750. Yeah, but still a bit. Yeah. Yeah, of course, the parenthood tax rebate, which is very, very good. So why are children not? Why are people not having children? Jimmy.
I'm still not married. So
Actually, are people not having children? I thought after the SG50, people have been having more children.
I do know of friends who got married and then, after a few years, still no children. So I don't know. Yeah, never asked.
For what about David? Do you plan to have a few more?
No lah, enough. Max out the tax relief already. I don't
How
think
many you
I
have?
have to pay. I don't think I have to pay any income tax for the next few years.
How many do you have actually, David? How many kids you have?
And I never told you before.
No. At least I can't remember.
Tell you next time.
Wow. I'm not even replacing I'm not even hitting 2 so yeah. I don't know, man. I feel stressed if you have more children.
It's also about time management, I guess. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
when you have 2 or more children, there'll be periods whereby you have to manage 2 or more children at the same time. Yeah. So has to be managed.
Yeah, at least when I have the first kid, I was thinking what hell shit that I got myself into. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought.
Most people say that the first one is the most challenging. The second one will be easier, and the third one will be the easiest.
Because you got the 2 kids to help you, right? the Indian chief is born. So the first one is the Indian chief. The second one is the follower. The third one, no need to say that.
Okay.
Because I'm actually teaching a few children in primary school, secondary, you can really see the personalities come out. At least that's why I see. Even in classes, they got Indian chief one. A few of the Indian chief, right, they will be doing a lot of things, making a lot of noise, then disrupting the class. So you get them to lead instead to do what you want. So I'm learning a lot when I'm teaching the kids. Yeah, it's quite painful sometimes. It just endeavors. Yeah, I think so. I think, Jimmy, we can move on to the next one. Really see whether there's any questions.
Right. Thanks, Ethan and David for the fireside chat. Yeah, it was quite a laugh. So we hope you find it valuable for your own investments. So we'll now go for the Q&A section. So if you still have any questions with regards to investments 101 or tax savings, post your questions as we are now addressing them. Okay, I actually have just one question. What are your thoughts on those peer-to-peer lendings as an investment? Anything?
I did some P2P lending about 1 or 2 years ago. It was a engineering firm, so I did a P2P lending to an engineering firm. Because at the time I was quite deep in the interior design market, so I know that it's still a viable business. So I thought, why not put some money there and collect I think it was 2% per month. So I was just collecting 2% per month, and it was pretty okay. Yeah. So after 6 months, I got everything back. I think it's actually more than 2% per month because I get back 1/6 of my principal plus 2% of the entire amount. every month. So I think it might be, if you look at the IRR, might be closer to 4% per month. Yeah.
Okay, sounds a lot.
That's like
Yeah, I
50%.
yeah, I know. It sounds like a lot. Yeah. So that was the only P2P encounter I have lah. Right now, I don't do any P2P for businesses that I do not have control over. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
so for me, I did put one into sit-in, a token amount of 1,000 for that one. So it was into a property investment. And because currently we have been seeing that actually properties do give quite a high yield based on leverage for the past few years because of the low interest rates. But I'm actually nearing the end. In fact, after three more days, I'm going to get my capital. So I'm hopeful that I can get back my capital. So it's
Okay.
about 1% per month. Yeah, for this investment. So I think P2P
Do you have any
give
late payments?
not on my side because at least from what I know that
Okay.
for the sit-in, especially sit-in, right, they do a lot of background checks. They check the cash flow, they check the business model before they allow people to invest. So at least I feel safe, even though they really have very, very little deals for people to invest in. But I find that, if you do your proper due diligence, like a bank, well, you can make money, definitely.
Thanks. Yeah. So for myself, I did try a few peer-to-peer lending platforms to invest the projects. I get mixed experience overall. Yeah. So for the most parts, the repayments is done on time, and then I experienced a few late repayments. So for the late repayments, I do get additional interest due to the late repayments. Yeah. While I also encounter like one or two investments that actually defaulted. It's basically an unrecoverable capital. Yeah. But to me, the loss amount is pretty small, like a few $100s. Yeah. So I mean, I know the risk involved, and unfortunately, one or two projects went default, and then I accept and I move on. Yeah, so it's not a huge loss to me. Yeah, but the gains from the many other projects that actually pay back actually cover the losses due to unrecoverable capital that I have so far. So it's not too bad for me. Yeah, so will I carry on investing in peer-to-peer lending projects? Likely yes, I'll continue stay invested. Yeah.
Jimmy, which are the ones that default?
Which are the ones? I shall not reveal the platform name, but I can reveal the sector of the projects. Yeah. So
yeah, sure.
if I'm not wrong, is I mean the business has many exposure to projects in China. Yeah. So what happens is some of the projects in China actually the business basically failed lah. They have cash flow issue, and then eventually they went into bankruptcy proceedings, and then there's no capital to recover for us. Yeah, so that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh, so there's only one, is it?
About two projects that went default. Yeah, that's all I can reveal.
Oh, so both projects are in China-related companies?
Yes, China-related projects. Yeah.
But what were they doing, like the kind of industry they are in?
Uh,
China is a geographical sector.
I can't remember exactly because what happens is I accept the risks and I accept the losses and I just move on from there. Yeah, but I do remember in terms of the geographical it has great exposure to China markets. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I can remember. Yeah. So that's all I can review. I mean, when I invest in these projects, there's an agreement to sign and, I cannot disclose too much. Yeah. So that's all I can review. All right. So actually, so far in Facebook Live, we don't have any questions. Any questions from the watch party you have shared so far?
No. There's no questions from there.
Okay. So if there's no questions, I think with the interest of time, we shall end this episode. Yeah. So those of you who have tuned in, we thank you. Thank you for tuning in. So if you still have questions with regards to investments 101 and tax savings, feel free to post those questions in the comment section, and we will address them during our next episode, which is next Friday. So let's move on to the last slide. Yeah. So the last slide is basically the QR code where you can scan the QR code and it will lead you to our landing page. So in the landing page, you'll have direct access to our social channel, which is our website, Telegram, YouTube, and Facebook. So for the Telegram channel, we will show details of the resale insurance policies that we have. So if you are interested to know more about these policies, do join us on our Telegram channel and we will reach out to you. So speaking of the next episode, do join us next Friday, 5 p.m. for JEDi episode 13 on investments part 2. So if you like our content and be notified for future episodes, do like our page on Facebook Live, do follow us on Facebook and share this post. We will see you next Friday, and may
the finances be with you.
Okay, goodbye.